I will cover some easy UI design exercises that you can try today and improve your skills fast. Just letting you know, all the exercises in this video will be done through Figma. I'm also not sponsored, by the way. But for some exercises, I'll briefly cover beginner-friendly prototypes that you can try out yourself. Number 1, button feedback. Choose 3 states for your button. In my case, I chose the default, hover, and click. Design for each state using color, lines, shadows, etc. Select all of your states and click Create as Component Set. Change to the prototype option, then drag the arrow to the next variant. Change the trigger to while hovering and the animation as instant. Repeat for the 3rd state and change the trigger to on click. Create a frame and drag the component from your assets folder to test out your prototype. With this exercise, you will learn how to represent states and experiment with different ways to show visual feedback. Number 2, designing in motion. UX UI designer and coach Isara Wilson-Calmer mentions in his UX manifesto the 12 principles of UX motion. I highly recommend reading his article on Medium, linked in the description box below, because it does cover more important details from the manifesto that I cannot cover all in this video. Choose one of the 12 principles of UX motion. For me, I will choose overlay just for this exercise. Using simple shapes and prototyping steps I mentioned from the previous exercise, try experimenting with the triggers and animations. There are many ways to create an overlay. However, I just kept it simple for myself in the exercise. Create frame 1 as your base and frame 2 as your overlay. Drag the arrow from frame 1 to frame 2 and change the trigger to while hovering and the action to open overlay. Then change the position to manual and manually place frame 2 on top of frame 1. Change the animation to move in and customize the direction, curve, and duration to your liking. You will learn how considering and applying the 12 principles of UX motion can enhance your UI designs for your projects. Number 3, is this responsive? Start with a website grid of 12 columns. Add placeholder shapes and text and place it in the space. Now, create wireframes for a tablet version and then for a mobile version. Reflect and write what you have noticed about your designs between different devices. You will learn how responsive your design will be in different versions of devices. Number 4, user-centered. User-centered design is a process where designers focus on users and their needs or problems, or pain points. Choose a mobile app. For me, I just chose an example of an e-commerce for skincare products. Choose one hypothetical user pain point. Let's say my users are having difficulties finding where to add their products to their cart. Spend time designing a lo-fi mock-up example of the interface, keeping your user's pain point in mind. You will learn how to practice considering your users in your UI designs and think more in your design decisions. Number 5, simplify this. When simplifying UI designs, it reduces the amount of information processed in our cognitive load and makes the information much easier to understand and to perform tasks. Choose poor examples of graphic design for a theme, and then choose either a desktop or mobile version you want to focus on in this exercise. Then, replicate the text, images, shapes, etc., and then add the components to your lo-fi mockups, making it as simple as possible. You will learn how to practice simplifying your designs, ease navigation, and reduce the information processed through your UI designs. Number 6, heuristics. In Bohr's article, he mentions UX expert Jacob Nielsen and the 10 heuristics of interface design, which was presented by Nielsen from working in the field of human-computer interaction, or HCI, which is a focus on the interactions between humans and computers. As a good rule of thumb, I would recommend considering if these heuristics are applicable to your designs whenever you're starting a new UX UI project. Choose one heuristic that you find interesting. For me, I will select the error prevention one. Create a lo-fi mockup that represents your chosen heuristic. Then, write notes on what components and why your design works for this specific heuristic. You will learn how to consider best practices of heuristics and HCI in your UI designs, and also improve your understanding of users for any of your design projects. Number 7, affordances and signifiers. Affordance refers to the actions of an object or what an environment does. Like a button is for pressing or a chair is for sitting. While a signifier is a cue that visually shows the affordance or action and tells the user what the object does. Choose your affordance. I want to design a toggle button for this exercise, so my affordance will be clicking the toggle button. Then create signifiers in response to your affordance. In this case, I will use on and off as my signifiers or visual cues that lets users know you can switch the toggle on and off. With this exercise, you will learn how to identify affordances and think critically to design visual cues or signifiers for your UI projects. And number 8, consistency and constraints. For our final design exercise, I kind of had to be a little creative on this one, just because it's kind of self-explanatory for us to know to be consistent in our designs, and that there also be constraints when it comes to working with a brand identity. Choose a company's style guide that you like. I found Coca-Cola's 2020 brand guidebook on the brand style guide site. Again, the link will be in the description box below. I'm also not sponsored. And I believe this is a really cool resource if you want to start studying branding. So definitely take a look at that. Research for a few minutes on what you can and cannot do with the design. Now, using what you learned, design 3 UI components like buttons, a drop-down menu, or checkboxes, including the right colors, or perhaps find a font that looks close to the original if you don't own it like me. You will learn how to create consistency by practicing with an existing brand identity and learn how to navigate with constraints in your UI designs. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notification bell to this channel. I also like reading your comments, so definitely leave a comment down below if you tried any of the exercises in this video. If you enjoyed this content with exercises, I highly recommend you start watching this video, which should be right here. So take a look at that, and I'll see you there.